was through Pat's dad. Met him, and he kind of enticed me into joining the tree farm system, and got with Dan Hedrick, and then I met Adam, and Adam's given me he gives me advice all the time, and Pat and me help each other a lot, and it just got most of the work and all was with the evasives, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, so I can say Ron first reached out to the Maryland Forest Service to get a forest management plan sometime in the early 90s, so about 30 years ago. Ron got a management plan, and that's when he talked to Pat's dad about the program, and got in touch with us, my bosses and predecessors, and so we wrote him the first management plan in the early 90s, and Ron's been a very active landowner ever since that point forward.
Yeah.
The first timber management harvest that he had done here was sometime around the early 90s, like 1993, 94. He did some harvesting in here by Cessna Brothers Logging, a local loggers. And then since then he's done another 2 or 3 or 4 other harvests. And so that's the timber management side of it. And then he's also done a ton with the invasive plant species control. He's ferocious and adamant about keeping those things under control and spraying them and planting, perennial rye and other stuff to outgrow the invasive plants. And him and Pat work together on that really closely, which the tree farm program really encompasses. That is working together, as neighbors and fellow tree farmers to get work done, good forest stewardship, and they again, they have a long history of doing that, so that helps build their relationship. And in addition to all of this, Ron has used his property for educational purposes. He's had Allegany College forestry students out here. They've done labs out here with dendro. They've measured trees, taken plots, just done some tours. I think you had a teacher's tour out here before, whenever one of the harvests was happening with the Furmans, I think.
Yes.
And that was the early mid-2000s.
There were students from Allegany County. Yeah.
Yeah, Allegany County students came out and actually saw an active timber operation. So, and without being too wordy here, I mean, we have a forest stewardship program, and then in addition to that is the American Tree Farm System, which is the tree farm program. And people think that's the same thing, but technically they're slightly different. You need a forest management plan to be in the tree farm program, such as the sign is right here. But really, the people that are in the tree farm program are only the landowners that are actively managing and doing, good practices, good, forest stewardship practices. And there's standards with the tree farm program that you must follow. There's like 8 standards that you have to follow, and in order to be compliant with the program. And both of these landowners have done a good job of that, and they've been excellent landowners. And they've, it's been fun to work with them from my standpoint too. Another real good thing these landowners both do is sharing knowledge with other tree farmers, which is, again, that's something that the tree farm program really emphasizes. And they don't just learn something and practice it on their property, they also share that with other tree farmers, and get that out, hey, this is working on my tree farm, maybe you should try it too. So,
and we also got
if you have a question or something, Adam or Dan, anybody who works down at the forestry office, is more than willing to give you whatever information you need, brochures, or whether they'll come out. You ask, they'll come out and look. I mean, it's a great partnership.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, my dad moved up here. He retired from Montgomery County. He worked in Washington. He retired. 90,
late 90s.
Yeah, but he bought a small piece of property on the other side of the road. There was an old burned out foundation, and they rebuilt a small house, and then gradually Dad added on property a little at a time, adjoining pieces of property till it ended up being about 50 acres. And then they got a nice log home, and there's a pond he built for sediment control. They built a pond up there because we have a creek that flows down into Flintstone Creek, which is great. And then I came out here about 7 years ago, I guess. Dad's 92, Mom's 93, and it got to the point where they could no longer take care of the place. So I said, I'm retired. I said, I'll come out, and so I live in their old house, and then they live up in the cabin. But and I said, how tough could this be? 50 acres of woods. What do you have to do? You know, I mean, here I came from the prairie. I mean, I came out from the prairie, and I'm like, this can't be that tough. And then I got a real eye-opening about, you know, the more involved I got a real about. There's a lot of work to do out there. Actually, it's almost a lot of work to try and make it look like you didn't do any work at all. It all looks natural, but it's a lot of work to try and keep it in a pristine state. So basically, that's it. You know, it's I love it. It keeps me busy. I mean, Ronnie and I there's never a dull moment or a dull day. If you don't sit around and say, oh, what am I going to do today? There's more that you can handle, really. I've only got 50 acres to take care of. Ronnie's got about 150. So, yeah, it's
111.
111. Okay, there you go. Seems like 150 sometimes.
Yeah, with the slope, yeah, the big hill.
But yeah, but it's great. I love the woods. I mean, I love being outdoors, and this suits me to a T. You know, just being out, and that's welfare of the forest in Allegany County.
Yep.
A couple years ago, Adam nominated me for Tree Farmer of the Year, and I made it.
Yeah, how could we not have mentioned that? Yeah, Ron was the Maryland Outstanding Tree Farmer of the Year in 2016. It was a pretty lengthy nomination process. That's where some of this information came from that I handed out. And he got it, he won it, and then we put him in for the regional one, the Northeast region, and he didn't quite make that one, but he gave him a good run. So